Look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be. And one of the things that I can just tell you as you think about your goals and dreams, all of us can say that it's possible. That if anybody at any point in time lived their dream, then it's possible that I can live mine. I made a mistake. I looked at my goals and dreams and my mind said, how will you do that? I went from my heart to my mind. And I stayed up there for 14 years. I can't bring those 14 years back. Those years are gone. Stop putting it off and procrastinating. How many ever thought about something you wanted to do and you procrastinated, you talked yourself out of it? There's a proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
This thing about your imagination, your imagination is actually real. Albert Einstein took the second half of my mother's favorite scripture. My mother's favorite scripture is, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It just means, really, that the pure essence of faith, it ain't nothing but hope. That's why you hear people keep hope alive. Because if you keep hope alive, there's a chance it can resonate in the faith. You remember when you was little and you was hoping you got a bike for Christmas? And you went downstairs and it was a bike under the Christmas tree? Remember that time you hoped you graduated from high school? Then remember you hoped you got a job? Ain't all y'all working? At one point in time, you're going to have to get smart now, people. After you become an adult, it shouldn't be hope no more. This ought to start turning into some faith. What's the matter with calling it faith? Quit hoping, man. Turn it into faith. Faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. You got to ask God for something. Ask for something from God. You don't know how in the world you're going to get it.
The way you do it is by what you speak. When you verbalize that thought, you're giving it the right to come to pass. If you go around saying, the problem's too big, I'll never get well, you are agreeing with the wrong voice. You've got to get in agreement with God. The other voice may seem louder, but you can override it. You can take away all of its power by choosing the voice of faith. Maybe you're going to a job interview. One voice will tell you, you're not going to get it. You're wasting your time. These people are not going to like you. Another voice will say, you have the favor of God. You're blessed. You're confident. You have what it takes. But if you get up that morning, tell your spouse, I don't think I'm going to get this job. They're not going to like me. I'm not qualified. There's no use even going. You're being trapped by your words. You have to dig your heels in and say, I am not giving life to any more defeat. I am not speaking lack. I'm not speaking sickness. I'm not speaking mediocrity, not enough. I'm going to choose the voice of faith. It says I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm blessed, I'm favored, I am a victor, not a victim. This is what David did. When he faced Goliath, it looked impossible. All the odds were against him. If he would have verbalized his negative thoughts, that would have kept him from his destiny. Even though he was anointed to be king, those negative words would have kept him trapped in the shepherd's fields. He could have easily gone around saying, well, I know I'm supposed to face Goliath, but look at him. He's twice my size. He's got more experience, more equipment, more talent. I don't see how this is ever going to work out. You can talk yourself out of your destiny. Negative words can keep you from becoming who you were created to be. Don't fall into that trap. Quit calling in defeat. Quit talking about how it's not going to happen. You can pray in faith. Ask God to turn it around, to do the impossible, but then walk away and start talking about how you're not going to get well, how your child's never going to straighten up. Those negative words just canceled out that prayer. Well, Joel, I'm having this financial crisis. Prayed and asked God to help me, but I don't see how it's going to happen. No, zip that up. Father, you said you're Jehovah Jireh, the Lord my provider. Lord, you've done it for me in the past. I know you'll do it for me again in the future. Don't let your words trip you. Negative talk brings negative results. But when you speak faith, favor, victory, that's what allows God to do the impossible. David went out, stood before Goliath. He looked him in the eyes, said, you come against me with a sword and a shield, but I come against you in the name of the Lord God of Israel. This day I will defeat you and feed your head to the birds of the air. Notice he was prophesying victory. He may have felt fear, but he spoke faith. I can hear David as he's going out to face Goliath under his breath. I am well able. I am anointed. I am equipped. If God be for me, who dare be against me? Picked up that rock, put it in a slingshot, slung it. That rock brought Goliath tumbling down. When you face giants in life, when you face challenges, you have to do like David, prophesy your future. Say to that cancer, cancer, you are no match for me. I will defeat you. This addiction may be in my family for years, but this is a new day. The buck stops with me. I'm the difference maker. I am free. My child may have been off course for a long time, but I know it's only temporary. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Prophesy victory over your life. There was a man in the scripture named Zerubbabel. He faced a huge mountain, a big obstacle. But like David, he didn't talk about how impossible it was, how it was never going to work out. He said, who are you, O great mountain, that would stand before me? You shall become a mere molehill. He was prophesying his future. The mountain looked big, but he declared it would be flattened out. It would become a molehill. There's the principle. Don't talk about the mountain, talk to the mountain. Look at that mountain of debt. Tell it, you can't defeat me. You're coming down. I will lend and not borrow. My cup will run over. Whatever mountains you face in life, no matter how big they look, don't shrink back in fear. Don't be intimidated. Rise up in faith. Tell that mountain, you're coming down. Tell that sickness, you're temporary. Say to that loneliness, that addiction, that legal problem, who are you, O great mountain, to stand before me? In other words, don't you know who I am, a child of the Most High God? Haven't you read my birth certificate? My Father created the universe. He breathed life into me, crowned me with His favor, called me more than a conqueror. That means you can't defeat me. You can't hold me back. Mountain, you've got to come down. I will overcome this illness. I will break this addiction. I will pay my house off. I will see my family restored. I will accomplish my dreams. What am I saying? Prophesy victory. Prophesy breakthroughs. Prophesy what you're believing for. In the Old Testament, Ezekiel saw a vision. He had this dream of this valley filled with bones. Everywhere he looked, it's like a huge graveyard, acres and acres of bones, people that have died. Bones represent things in our life that look dead, situations that seem impossible, like they'll never change. God told him to do something interesting. He said, Ezekiel, prophesy to these dead bones. Say to them, O you dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Ezekiel, in this vision, he started speaking to the bones, telling them to come back to life. He called forth skin, muscle, tissue. As he was talking, these bones started coming together, just like out of a movie, morphing back into a person. Finally, God told him to prophesy to the breath and call it forth. The scripture says, as he prophesied, breath came into those bodies and they stood up like a vast army. You may have things in your life that seem dead. Your health, business, a relationship. All you can see, so to speak, is that valley of dry bones. God is saying to you what He said to Ezekiel. It's not enough to just pray about it. You need to speak to it. Prophesy to those dead bones. Call in health. Call in abundance. Call in restoration. That child that's been off course, don't just pray about it, prophesy to him. Son, daughter, come back in. You will fulfill your destiny. You're struggling with an addiction, don't just pray about it, prophesy. I am free. Chains are broken off of me. This is a new day of victory. Get your checkbook out, prophesy to it. All it looks like are dead bones. Debt, lack, struggle. I prophesy to these dead bones. I will lend and not borrow. I am the head and not the tail. I am coming into overflow. Just like with Ezekiel, if you'll prophesy to the bones, God will resurrect what looked dead. He'll make things happen that you could never make happen. Psalm 2 says, I will declare a decree. A decree was something that was written down, like an official document. The psalmist was saying, there's something that's been written that I'm going to start speaking. You and I can do the same thing, declare a decree. You should write down your goals. Write down what you want to see happen in life. Any areas that you're struggling in, where you need to improve, write it down like it's already done. And then every day, declare that decree. Read over it a couple of times out loud.
I want you to imagine you're at the end of the road. And you know you're at the end of the road. Just imagine, all you can do is relive your life. I want you to imagine you're there and you go back and think, God, I wonder if we had moved there, what would have happened? And think, God, if I could only do it over again. I said, wouldn't that be terrible? Spend the last days of your life like that? Wouldn't it be better if you look back and say, wow, what a trip. When you lose it big enough that you can be accelerated. And then we did this, and what you're doing is laying there and you're reliving your whole life. Well, there's where the goals come in. That's where the purpose for life comes in. You gotta have a main purpose. You gotta have a purpose for life. And you've gotta have meaningful goals. They've gotta be meaningful. You're trading your life for it.
In immersive experiences. So a lot of us today, we live in this world which is like 10 minutes a day. Do it for 10 minutes a day, everything will be great. And that is great. There's nothing wrong with that. And meditation, mindfulness, all these habits are the same. The more you immerse yourself, the more you get an experience that stays with you, the more that you can live with that experience and keep going back to it for 10 minutes a day. So I really believe in immersive experiences. I love the 10-minute-a-day advice, but I also deeply believe in having a deep, immersive, absorbed experience that completely takes over your whole body, mind, and soul.
Biggest one I would say is never pick the easy road. Never. Never. And it always goes back to kind of the hero mentality. Never pick the easy road. Ever in your life. That is the one road that is doomed. It is doomed. You may achieve what you wanted, but you want the permanent fix. The permanent fix comes from the hard road. The hard road gives you permanent. The easy road gives you the quick fix. You will go back to where you started on the easy route. That hard route is so permanent that it ends up callousing you everywhere. Everywhere.
Have you come here to avoid life or to experience life? Experience life. All the different dimensions of what this life holds must happen to you, isn't it so? If you come to avoid life, if you feel insecure, that's what you will do. You will try to avoid life. When you're alive and try to avoid life, it will cause immense misery. When you're alive, you live. When you die, you die. Don't get up from the dead.
Visualization is a gift to your heart and your soul. It's a gift. Because if the idea is the seed, visualization is the fertilizer. It's the fertilizer. Because when your thoughts are connected with an emotion, see, you visualize yourself winning, and you would feel all the emotion that came with that. And all you're doing now is you're not chasing a foreign emotion. You know the feeling, and now you're just doing what's necessary to get back to that feeling in real time. And it's real important in the visualization. You can't see it over there. You have to see it right here. You got to feel it right here, like I am. It's all I am. I am. I am in my dream home. I am in my dream relationship. And then unpack what that looks like. But most importantly, unpack what it feels like. And when you have that emotion in this moment, all of a sudden you stir up something that I don't think will ever go back to sleep. It'll go, okay, let's go get that.
I have a philosophy that every moment, every precious nanosecond and moment is perfect. And so when I connect to the perfection of that moment, there's really nothing to do. It's to be aware and to allow, to surrender, but not to give up surrender, but to understand that, as we're talking right now, the oceans don't need any instruction what to do. The planets that are moving in their elliptical orbits around the sun don't need yours or my intervention. The universe, the Milky Way galaxy that's flowing through the universe at 1.5 million miles per hour doesn't need yours and my instruction. So that means that every moment is perfect. So I want to connect to the perfection of every single moment. Be aware of that every single moment.
So life is… There has never been a point, any time, there never will be, where everything is perfect. No such thing. Because life is a possibility. Because it's a possibility, it cannot be perfect. It doesn't matter what we do, there's still something more to do.
And the power of that, you can't overstate the power of that for individuals to get their life together. The individual is an unbelievably powerful force, and every single person who gets their act together a little bit has the capacity to spread that around. It's a chain reaction, and so it's a lovely thing to see.
Is that it's a mix of pain and pleasure. And that's what makes it so powerful. The idea of our mortality is obviously very painful, right? It could be more painful. But the idea of transforming that into something beautiful, into something enlightening, into something that kind of fills us with a much different spirit, which motivates us to get something done, which makes us appreciate what we can look at. We're alive and the sky is blue, and and all that. So mortality has this ability to sharpen our senses, to sharpen our appreciation of life, and that turns that pain into pleasure. But the pain and pleasure always go together. So underneath that kind of ecstatic feeling that you feel when you're aware that there's eternal time and that there are all these insanely wonderful things around the world, there's always going to be mixed with that tincture of pain about how I'm going to be gone and I won't be here to appreciate it. But that mix of the two emotions is what makes it so powerful and so insanely addictive, right? Because pure pleasure on its own can almost get monotonous.
The things that break your heart, if you choose, can open your heart. Fear, the world says fear is bad. Fear is only an opportunity for bravery training. We do make excuses because we are very good at self-deception. Because if we actually had to face the responsibility of playing with our bigness in the world, we'd have to let go of our addiction to our excuses and leave what's safe. And we'd have to actually leave the pain to go out to the possibility of pleasure and joy and greatness. And believe it or not, that frightens us.
Do it to the best of your ability, today, tomorrow, and always, until finally, the worthy deed becomes instinctive.
We are all made to do great things. Be accountable, be productive, be powerful, and from the bottom of my heart, conduct your business.
I'm about 5'10" with my shoes on. I'm comfortable.
Procrastination says later, tomorrow, whenever I get a chance. In every circumstance we face, we are constantly presented with these two choices. Do it now or do it later. Discipline and procrastination. A choice between a disciplined existence, bearing the fruit of achievement and contentment, or procrastination, the easy life for which the future will bear no fruit, only the bare branches of mediocrity. The rewards of a disciplined life are great, but they're often delayed until some time in the future. The rewards for the lack of discipline are immediate, but they are minor in comparison to the immeasurable rewards of consistent self-discipline.
The time has come. The moment of truth is here. The question is, are you ready? Are you prepared? Do you have the strength? Everybody wants to win, but they don't understand what it means to sacrifice to win it all. Everybody wants to be a champion, but are you prepared to work hard enough to become the champion that you believe you can be? Do you think you have the mindset now?
An immediate reward for lack of discipline is a fun day at the beach. A future reward of discipline is owning the beach. For most, we choose today's pleasure rather than tomorrow's fortune. So how can you get rid of the easy distractions? How can you keep your mind on what you're trying to do? How can you keep an attitude of doing it all and doing it now? How can you make the choice of discipline over procrastination? How can you stay focused on your ambitions? You can keep your focus on your work. You can get it done today instead of tomorrow. You've got to really work on your consistent self-discipline on a daily basis, or you'll find yourself distracted. Distracted by negative thoughts, distracted by negative people, and pretty soon, depending on the type of people you've associated with, distracted by your doubts within yourself.
Do you understand what it means to get into what they call beast mode? But I'm here to let you know right now, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't about being beast mode. It's about life and death mode. It's about putting it on the line. It's about pushing yourself and giving it 110% of everything you got. There is nothing that you can do once you're here except finish what you start. When the weakness starts to talk to you and whisper sweet nothings in your ear, you got to recognize that that conversation doesn't help you. That conversation that you're having with weakness is not gonna build you. It's not gonna push you. It's not gonna lift you. You got to recognize that there's work that must be done. You got to be responsible.
Dude, like, are you sure? I'm comfortable. Married 5'10". Been married 30 years, 5'10". 2 beautiful kids, 5'10". I don't need to be 6'6". That's your life. I see dudes 6'10", I'm like, you wasting it. You bragging about you 6'8", you wasting the height. I'm using all my 5'10", bruh. I'm using all of it. Not to be funny, I ain't never got beat up. I use all my 5'10". I ain't been broke. I use all my 5'10". I use my mouth. I don't dream to be 6'4". I love my life. Y'all gotta start loving your life. And whether you make it to the league or not, you are not who you are because of the league. You are who you are because of who you are. And if you make it to the league, then the league is gonna be blessed with your presence. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Be comfortable on who you are. Be comfortable if y'all poor. If you come from a family right now that's broke, you use that to your advantage. I use that to my advantage that I was a high school dropout, that I was homeless.
You got to be capable. You got to be willing to work for what you want. I know sometimes people like to talk. I know some people like to pretend to be something they're not. I know sometimes people say they're a lion, but you can't be a lion if you don't understand the rules of the jungle. So, ladies and gentlemen, you got to recognize what it means to sacrifice, what it means to be powerful, what it means to be strong. This is your moment to shine. And if you're not willing to shine, then step aside. If you're not willing to work, then this is not the place for you. You got to toughen up. You got to look up. You got to build up. If you want it, this is the time to go get it. But you gotta work for it. You got to believe in it. You got to trust in it. You got to let the power flow through the veins.
Once that becomes your reaction to not change that thing that meant so much to you, that you dedicated your life to making it come true, that you don't change that, but rather you find another way, you tap into your creativity, you find somebody that can help you, you do whatever it takes to get on the other side of that, you do whatever it takes to build that life that you want to see. But if your reaction is to change your goal, to make it easier, to move it closer, to be less of who you could be, simply so you can check a box, you're never going to have anything that's worth having.
Also, if you want to have more confidence and self-love, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
There's a gap between who people are and what they tell you they want to accomplish. You can tell the world to eat less and exercise more, and it will work for every single person ever that's ever done it. But the reality is, the vast majority of the world will not do that.
What you think about yourself is, at the end of the day, the single most important thing.
That I ate out of trash can. I love dealing with a dude who think because he come from money, he better than me. Let's go. Let's go. You got money, but do you got that dog? Yeah, you got money, you got privilege, but do you got that dog? Do you got that stamina? So yeah, you might have something I don't have right now, but if I work hard, I can have what you have. So as I leave, guys, if you a person who respect, like when you walked outside, if you speak to people, just because the people you running with don't speak to people, don't you do what? Don't you not speak? You like, yo, y'all do y'all. But I speak. What's up, bro? Like my man gave me a firm one when we was out there. He gave me a firm one. I remember him because of that. He looked me in my eye and said his name. Are you hearing me? Don't forget who you are. Don't forget where you come from. My last name is Thomas. I represent My stepfather who stepped in my life because my old dude didn't want to be there. I represent him. I could change my name if I wanted to, but everywhere I go, I respect the man who came in for me when my father wasn't there for me.
As Harun Yahya noted, I always wonder why birds stay in the same place when they can fly anywhere on Earth. And then I ask myself the same question. As Mark Twain put it, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And that's where people get stuck. You're literally like the bird. You could fly anywhere you want. You can go anywhere you want to go. And look, I know you've got a litany of excuses and all of them are valid. You've got a job you can't just leave, or you don't have a job and you don't have the money. Your family is in one place. It's the only thing that you've ever known. You only speak one language. You've never traveled before. You don't have a passport. You can't afford the gas money. There are 1,000 real reasons not to go. But the truth is that none of them matter. The truth is, if you want to build something in your life, then you have to remember what Mark Twain said. You have to get started.
You deserve to be loved, even if you need to do something for yourself. Because real love doesn't have conditions. Real love takes joy when someone is happy, whatever it takes, even if it means being apart from you for a period of time or even forever. Otherwise, it's not love. It's the selfish desire to get what you want, whether it makes someone else happy or not. Some of you are in relationships where you're committed to the ship and not the relations. You're committed to the institution and you forgot the person. Because you don't even meet the person anymore. You meet your story about the person because you've told it to yourself so many times, so everything is seen through that filter. If you think someone is your dear, dear friend and they're loving and they're generous and they're a beautiful soul, and one day they treat you like you'll be shocked and you'll be angry. And if you can't resolve it and you have to leave to go deal with something, you'll generalize their behavior later on. And you'll say they're probably having a bad what? How many of you had a day where you hope somebody generalized your behavior as just a bad day? But if somebody you think that they don't care, or they're selfish, or they're mean because you've generalized about the human being. Because by the way, you can find selfishness in anybody if you look for it, including yourself. Whatever you look for, you're going to find. Can you find beauty? Can you find love? Can you find generosity in any human being, yes or no?
Sir John Templeton is probably one of the greatest investors in history. People don't know his name. He started out with nothing. He wasn't Sir. He wasn't from another country. He came from the U.S. And he decided that he wanted to understand wealth. And so he saved $10,000, a huge amount of money in those days. And when Hitler invaded Poland, he developed a belief. His belief was, you make your money in times of maximum pessimism. Like if you were around in 2008-9, you remember what it was like, right? Yeah. You could have bought the Sands in Las Vegas, you could have bought their stock for $2.28. Today it's $67. Wow. It's a 3,000% return. It's
not bad.
You could have bought Citibank for less than $1, right? So people in those times, he understood that. And so what he did was, and everybody thought the world was going to end, he took $10,000, he bought every stock on the New York Stock Exchange that was $1 or less, including companies everybody thought were going bankrupt. But when things are bad, people think it's going to be bad forever. When things are good, they think it's going to be good forever. And they're always wrong. Life's cyclical. So there's a season for everything. So once we got through World War II and a few years later, guess what? Those same stocks made him a billionaire. So when I asked him, I said, what's the secret to wealth? His response when he touched me, he goes, you know it, you teach it. I said, what's that? He said, gratitude. And I said, why do you say that? He said, because if you got $1 billion and every day you live pissed off and frustrated, the quality of your life is called pissed off and frustrated. Right. But if you have nothing, but you're euphorically grateful for whatever you have, you're the richest person that you're going to know. He said, so it doesn't matter how much money you got if you don't have gratitude. So I do the same thing, by the way. I have a process I call it priming, where I get up every morning. I do mine in the morning. I just radical change to my body, kind of alter my state. And then I do 10 minutes, I never miss, and my first 3.5 minutes is what I'm really grateful for. And I make myself think of at least one of those three that's something really simplistic instead of something giant. You know, the wind on my face, the look in one of my kids' eyes, you know, something of that nature. And then I do 3 minutes of strength and healing, and I do 3 minutes of what I'm going to create in my world. And I do that for a minimum of 10 minutes every day, because I believe you have to condition it. You don't just hope that stuff shows up.
Now, the reason that most people don't give is because they operate out of a consciousness of scarcity. They don't believe that there's enough to go around. They can't see themselves having the capacity to give. They don't believe that they have anything to offer. They don't see themselves as an opening for the universe to work through. So if you begin to look at this new era that we're in, begin to see yourself as an opening for the universe to move through, to work through, to make a difference in life. See yourself being used by life to improve the quality of life, to expand and to grow. Most people have a very limited view of themselves and a very limited view of the universe, do not see their relationship to the universe, and cannot see how energy and things can flow through them. I love Gibran and the prophet. Then said a rich man, speak to us of giving, and he answered, you give but little when you give of your possessions, but it's when you give of yourself that you truly give. Gibran goes on to say that those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. And we know people who give only to be recognized. I love that old saying, judge a man not by what he does, but by that he doesn't have to do. And to judge the true quality of a man is what he'd do when nobody's looking. Gibran goes on to say something else important. He says, and there are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life. See, most people don't give, ladies and gentlemen, because they don't believe in life. Most people don't give because they don't understand the abundance in life. And so they go through life holding back on life, not understanding this also, that what you hold back from life, life holds back from you. So most of us go through life, ladies and gentlemen, not giving, and we're cheating ourselves, and you're also cheating life. See, I believe that all of us have some work to do. I strongly believe that each one of us showed up to do something, that each one of us showed up to contribute something to life. And that if we don't do it, it will not be done. See, no one is going to give Les Brown's speech. No one is going to write your book. See, if you've been given something to do, and if you don't do it, what you're doing is short-circuiting the flow of the universe. See, just imagine, if you please, we had a circle and people are standing around in this circle. And let's say we were given a bucket of love. And then I pass it to the person to the right, and they pass it to somebody else, 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 and it comes back to me. One of the great things about giving is that as you give, you're going to receive. What we want to do is keep the flow going, keep the flow going. If anybody gets the bucket of love and stops and holds it there, all of us suffer. They've short-circuited the flow. They've stopped what was going on, the energy that was going around. See, you are part of an equation, and you are needed. Part of why we should begin to look at how we give up our lives is that we got to begin to see, what is it that I'm supposed to do? What is my life work? And then give ourselves to that. Because as we do that, ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you, as you begin to take on this new era that we're in, if you decide that I'm going to begin to start living life generously, I'm going to start giving more of myself, I'm going to start putting out more, contributing more to life, here's what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I guarantee you that life will take on a whole new meaning for you. I guarantee you that as you begin to give more of yourself in your work, give more of yourself in your marriage, give more of yourself in your relationships with your families and friends, give more of yourself to your talent, to your vocation, to your job or your business, as you begin to set high standards for giving that which you have been given, to share in the universe, I guarantee you that life takes on a whole new dimension. That you'll be happier, you have a greater sense of happiness and fulfillment in life.
And that's how that is. Well, then how do you get more money? Simple answer. Somebody says, well, I'll go on strike for more. Well, here's a major problem with that. Here's a major problem with that. You can't get rich by demand. Somebody says, well, I'm waiting for a raise. I'm telling you, it's easier to climb than to wait for a raise. Why not just become more valuable rather than wait? I'm telling you, that's the key to all good things. Becoming more valuable. Why would we pay somebody $400 an hour? They've become more valuable to the marketplace. See how this works? I'm telling you, this stuff is so easy. This is America. This is a ladder. How far is it from 4 to 5? I'm telling you, it's not far. $4 to $5 an hour? If you work for McDonald's, haul out the trash, they'll pay you $5 an hour. If you whistle while you haul out the trash, they'll pay you $5 an hour. I'm telling you. You'll get an extra $1 just for a good attitude. Yay, McDonald's. Wear the hat. Spread them up. $5. And then you just keep becoming more valuable, more valuable, more valuable. I got a telephone call 5 years ago. Company said, we're ready to expand internationally. We need some help. I was sort of semi-retired. Looking for the next exotic beach. He said, no, Mr. Rohn, we got a project for you. Right? Going to expand internationally. We could use your help. Next little while, we'll add some millions to your fortune, make it worth your while. I said, okay. I thought later, isn't that interesting that they called? My second thought was, of course they'd call. Who else would they call? I mean, you know, I could get the job done. Now, how come I got a telephone call worth millions? I had become valuable. Now, I'm a farm boy from Idaho. I was raised in obscurity. 1 year of college, and I thought I was thoroughly educated. Made all kinds of mistakes galore. At age 25, the creditors are calling me saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. I got pennies in my pocket. I got nothing in the bank. I'm behind on my promises. How come I get a telephone call 5 years ago and it's worth millions? I changed. I turned my life around. Is it possible to become worth millions? Speaking economically, now there's a lot of values to become, but let's just talk economics. Is it possible to become that valuable? And the answer is, of course, of course. Now let me give you the secret. Shoaff said, here's the secret, Mr. Rohn. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I got that, it turned my life around. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
People want to know how to stop the laziness, and they want to know how to stop the procrastination. And, you know, they have some idea in their head, you know, some kind of a vision of what they want to do. But they don't know where to start. They don't know where to start it, you know? They don't know where to start. And so they say, hey, where do I start? And when's the best time to start? And I have a very simple answer for that. Here and now. That's it. You want to improve? You want to get better? You want to get on a workout program or a clean diet? You want to start a business? You want to write a book or make a movie or build a house or a computer or put together some mobile application? Where do you start? You start right here. And when do you start? You start right now. You initiate the action aggressively. You go. because the idea isn't going to execute itself. And the book isn't going to write itself. And the weights out in the gym, they're not going to move themselves. You have to do it, and you have to do it now. And that means you got to stop thinking about it and stop dreaming about it and stop researching every aspect of it and reading all about it and debating the pros and cons of it. Just start doing it. Take that first step and make it happen. Get after it, and get after it here and now.